to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. Got a great show for you tonight. Listen, folks, if we've had a lot of hazardous weather, whatever you want to call it, thunderstorms, tornado warnings here in the Middle Tennessee area. If something happens and the show cuts off, you will know what happened. If I got to cut it short, I think we'll be okay from where I'm at in the radar. But if something happens, you kind of know what I'm giving you a heads up here. So anyways, got a great show otherwise here for you all tonight. I've got, we're going to talk about this Pat Riley ruffling some feathers around the league. And of course, in the NBA, comments about Jimmy Butler and playing the game here. By the way, breaking news happened just minutes before I came on the air today. The Joker has won his third MVP tonight. And I'll play a quick soundbite of that before I get started on everything. Plus OKC. He made a comment about OKC and SGA saying he should get it. I'll talk about them as well. And of course, the Tennessee Titans yesterday signed Tyler Boyd, and I'll talk about this receiving core on paper. I'll tell you, it's really good. They talk about changing of the guard, a new look for this team here in the Middle Tennessee area. I'll get to that story. Also, story from last week, college football. There could potentially be a settlement with players and TV revenue from college football from the NCAA. There. So where they'll be sharing revenue with the players. There's going to be a settlement that can change the landscape as well. Players could potentially get part of the, yes, I said it, the TV multiple billion-dollar contract. But I'll get to that story a little bit later if I have time. But first, let's take our first and only break. We'll hit the ground running here in 49 seconds. We'll talk about that Joker winning the MVP story. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty, then I'll start off with the story here that just broke a few minutes ago. I didn't even have time to put it in the title, but we'll cover one of our topics. This is in the title. Okay, this is Shaq on TNT talking to the Joker, congratulating him for winning his third MVP in 4 years. Listen up.
It's probably details in there.
Okay, here we go.
Joker, as the president of the Big Man Alliance, you are the vice president of the Big Man Alliance. I love you, the best player in the league. I want to congratulate you, but I want you to hear from me first. I thought the SGA should have been the MVP. That's no disrespect to you, but congratulations. And what do you guys have to do to get back on track versus Minnesota?
Thank you, Shaq. We don't judge people here, so that's fine. It's your opinion. I'm joking.
Hey, all good. I love you. I love your brothers. One thing we always going to do is keep it real with each other. Congratulations. I love you.
No, for real. I think there is a lot of people a lot of players that deserve it. It's probably details and kind of small things. But yes, we have a tough stretch. We lost 2 games at home against Minnesota. Tomorrow we're going to Minnesota to try to get back series to Denver.
Joker, as the president of the
So I thought that was pretty funny. So he mentioned Shea Glorious Alexander, and that's a good transition into this. I do think, even though his numbers aren't as good as they were in the regular season, Shea Glorious Alexander, this Oklahoma City team, I still can't be more impressed with the team. This is the youngest team weighed by playing time. The Thunder had the average age of 23.9. 23.9 this season. That made them the youngest team in NBA history, folks, to earn a 1 seed. The average age of Oklahoma City current rotation has hovered about 9 players in the playoffs. It is just 22.9 years old. That stat was done by Sporting News 1 day ago. So, Shaq was funny. He's a guy. Him and Barkley will always tell you what's on their mind. Sometimes it may be something you don't want to hear, and usually it's something really hilarious there. But listen, hey, they got the 1 seed in the West. SGA, very, very good control for such a young man here. With the basketball, can get to the rim very easily. Not a very big ego. He's a player that is constantly trending upward right now. I think I would be okay if he would have won the MVP. I thought he was more useful to the Oklahoma City Thunder than maybe a Jason Tatum, whose team had the best record in the NBA, in the Boston Celtics. But I understand how much Denver leans on the Joker. I understand that. I'm okay with it. But right now, it doesn't mean anything because you're down 0-2, and a lot of people were picking you, like myself, to win the second NBA championship in a row. And odds are they're going to be in trouble here moving forward. Okay? All righty then. I did not want to open up with that story, but all that news just kind of broke. Usually the MVP's usually around just before the final start. It seems like it's not consistent. I don't know why they just don't do it at the very end of the season and just give out those awards, not make too big a deal of it. Pickle says the center, Chet Holmgren. They handled Dallas with ease. You know, they won game 1 last night, and I didn't finish the rest of that rant. I had some more notes here. They won game 1 last night, and of course, for that being a conference semifinal, they've got a 74.5% chance to beat the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks will rebound and come back and win this series, but I could be wrong. This team is just not. The moment is just not too big for them. It's almost like they're too young to see how big it is right now. They've already got 1 playoff series win over New Orleans, even though New Orleans was a little bit shorthanded. This Dallas team with 2 savvy veterans, with a 10-year plus veteran there in Kyrie Irving. Of course, I know you got over a 5-year plus veteran, I want to say, or right at it, a Luka Doncic there. So this is going to be a tough series. Probably, I said Dallas in 7, but we'll see. I would be surprised if Oklahoma City didn't win it in 6 or 7, judging by the way they look. But you still got to win 3 more games, okay? All right. But again, considering their youth, Chet Holmgren does need to gain about 80 pounds. That's why I didn't think they would win last night. I mean, you can just push this guy out of the way. But, hey, he's playing well. He's a second-year player. Thought he was going to have more problems than he has during the regular season. Got to the rim a few times last night. He's not intimidated. He's not as weak as he looks. He looks frail, but he's definitely not intimidated to take the ball inside. Definitely needs to get in the weight room at about at least 40 pounds, at least, you know. But anyways, okay. Great story here. You know, Pat Riley, over 70 years old, won championships as a coach there with the Lakers. Won as I think he got to I don't know if he got to the finals or not. I know he got to the conference finals many times there with that New York Knicks team. I can't remember if he was on that 94 team or not. Either way, Pat Riley, championships with two different teams as a coach, Lakers. He, of course, championships with the LeBron group there, Dwayne Wade as an executive. You would think 70 plus, living down there in Miami, one would think that he would be kind of resting on his laurels, kind of taking it easy, Pat Riley, right? I'm one of those people. And yesterday, he made some comments yesterday afternoon, and he really ruffled some feathers there regarding the 34-year-old Jimmy Butler in a press conference here, who, when he was asked about Jimmy Butler coming up for contract here in 2025, I got this soundbite from the Colin Cowherd's news section of his show. I wanted to give them credit for it. Listen to Jimmy Butler here. This ruffled some feathers in and around Butler's people and also other players around the league. Listen up.
We have not discussed that internally right now, but we have to look at that, making that kind of commitment, okay? And when do we do it? I mean, we don't have to do it until 25, actually, but we'll see. We haven't made a decision on it, and we really haven't in earnest discussed it. That's a big decision on our part to commit, that kind of, those kinds of resources, unless you have somebody who's really going to be there, available every single night. That's the truth.
Oh, yeah. Gonna be there every single night. Now, hey, Butler has missed. He has not played since being a member of the Miami Heat. He's never played 65 games. He's never started. He's never played in 65 out of 82 games here, So I don't see why that would have caused an outrage. But these players in NBA, this is the level of pandering that has went on, and you still got an old school guy here, just totally trying to keep it real here. And of course, Zach Lowe. Let me see what he says. Okay, here we go. This is an NBA reporter. Pat Riley's recent comments on Jimmy Butler's opened a lot of eyes around the NBA, according to this. I think this guy's with ESPN, Zach Lowe here. He could have said that a little bit more politely. Like, even if you're tongue-in-cheek, you could just have been like, I wish he wouldn't have said anything. He wasn't available. He was like, no, I'm going to hit him with a jab and then a right hook and then pretty much be pretty blunt about it. That is to open up a lot of eyes around the NBA. Let's put it that way. My phone was lighting up, according to Zach Lowe, during Riley's press conference that may be ground zero for the NBA offseason starting right now. Okay, that and Butler basically said, hey, he wants to bring a championship to the NBA. Butler's taking a high road. He said, hey, I feel at home, man. I really care about the city. I care about the people in this city. Miami's embraced me. They've wanted me to bring them something that I haven't done since LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. I want to be able to do that as soon as I get me right back. I'll be right back on that A double rear end. and everybody knows it. But hey, he's just saying what he believes. Okay, that being Pat Riley. He also went on to say that he had a really good quote that he's not a big fan of the rule of the 65 game rule. And let's see if I can get a quote here from that, which is a pretty good one as well. Okay, this is also what he said about load management rule. Basically, you've got to play 65 games to get any postseason awards. That's a new rule that came in effect this year. Riley criticized the NBA 65 game rule that requires players to play at least 65 games to be eligible for postseason award. To me, Riley says, it sends a message that it's okay to sit when you're not 100%, when no one in the league is 100%. So he's taking a very much NFL approach to the NBA. All right. Taking very much an NFL approach to the NBA. And listen, I understand this frustration. All right. Like I've been saying before, these players, for this is as an executive, look at it from their perspective. Okay. The league now says it's okay to bring in a player 19, one and done out of high school. Okay. They only get 1 year of college or semi-professional experience, whatever you want to call it. Teams spend 2 to 3 years, additional 2, to develop these players because most of them are simply not ready. They're not physically ready to handle the demands of the league. And then when they do get ready, they want to prolong their career and sit down with every little excuse possible is what Riley's saying. You know, this guy's been around the league probably 50-something years now, over 50 years. And the players are getting softer and missing more time with all of this technology, or is this just pampering? You know, and I know the players aren't 100% at fault here. You had guys in the past like the Spurs and your Greg Popoviches of the world, which the NBA has really knuckled down on that with this 65 game, particularly in primetime games. But that's just the marketing of the league. As far as players missing primetime games in the regular season, making it a bad product, yada, yada, yada. I get that. But Riley's saying we need team cohesion. Look at the teams that are young, hungry, played together, playing 68, 72, 75 games. Your Oklahoma City Thunder. Look at the teams that went hard down the stretch and really didn't mail it in. Your New York Knicks, for example. You got those 3 core players. Toughed it out. 3 guys toughed it out through college together, with led by Brunson there with the Knicks. Look at the cohesion there for that particular team. You know, he comes from that school, hard work, no shortcuts, stop mailing it in, stop making excuses, just grind. You know, and I'm totally from that school of thought. You know, I was at work today and I talked to a person I haven't seen since Monday. Lady works at one of my labs. You know, I've been at my job 9 years and I've never missed a day that wasn't an ice storm or an extreme emergency with my vehicle, anything like that. And she's like, wow, you went out of town, missed Friday. We've never seen you gone before. You really needed that day off. I said, well, I believe in, you know, being consistent, showing up, doing your job, you know, like Bill Belichick would say. I believe in that type of work ethic and study so you can settle in and know what you're doing and develop some kind of continuity and whatnot. So, and routine and build some kind of rapport with who you're dealing with. Same thing with the teamwork. You got to get hours and time into that product to make it better. Everything ain't about you getting your next contract as a player, okay? It's not about how your next $100 million plus contract there, Pickles, you know. But kudos to Pat Riley. I think that this league, you should get. I think the tide is told. What I said this the other day. Once LeBron and this era fade out, you know, we're getting a little bit more past the load management stuff with the penalties coming out and whatnot. The next big thing to do is to make that NBA. It needs to be 21 or 3 years out of high school. 21, 3 years out of high school, and you better have a really good excuse, not just a heck for not playing the game. Jason Whitlock said this. I want to say he said it last year, but it may have been 5 or 6 months ago, that players should get a portion of their contract for that particular game if they missed the game. Not unless it's some kind of severe injury, then you can work it out that way. But just nickel and dime type of injuries, you know, ankle, a little swollen, you know, I've seen guys miss for sinus infection. Take some Benadryl and take a little shot of coffee and get in there and play, man. You know? Migraines. I mean, if you got a migraine, you've probably got it in the morning. You need to drink some water. Sometimes some people can take more, may have to take some more higher end painkiller for that. Some of it may be allergy related, like myself. But you play through that stuff, you know? I was hearing reports that guys like Kawhi Leonard, he'd come in at 3:45 saying he's not playing. And the game be like 4 hours, less than 4 hours away. So the coaches would have to totally turn around the game plan for him, because that's when you have guaranteed contracts. So you got to have more of a NFL-like approach. Little stuff like that is why the NFL has lapped these sports here nationally. You know, and that's what years of catering has given to you. The called out search party looking for you. Wilt Chamberlain played 4 or 5 games a week. Yeah, I mean, that's unbelievable. Yeah, they did, Pickles. They sure did. Pat Riley didn't make any money as a player. Yeah, and maybe that's gave him his drive, you know. Pickles says, got to get paid to play. Yeah, go ahead and make it a little bit lesser amount of money for the games. You get a portion of that check for the games you missed. And I tell you what, these guys they'll get a little tougher, and they'll start playing through some of these injuries. And a lot of them, we all know that they're just nickel and dime injuries that you can play through, tape it up, and go on. So anyways, if I was Pat Riley, I'd go young. And maybe that's why they don't get a lot of really big names. I mean, Miami, Florida, no state tax, beautiful down there. Just got back from Tampa, beautiful Florida, you know. A lot of these guys want to mail it in. They want to F off. They want to go to the strip club the night before if they're doing in a really nice town in Atlanta or something. And then they come in there and sweat it off and not want to play. Well, back in the day, they just play through anything, you know. They'll just play through anything. That's what happens when you lean too much into catering and pampering these particular players and whatnot. Okay? Alrighty then. Love Pat Riley. Okay. What should I go to now? Okay, switching to the round ball here, switching back to the pigskin. I'm out of Nashville. I'm out of Nashville, Tennessee. The Titans have signed Tyler Boyd yesterday, you know, and didn't really get enough time to really build up an argument on that or an opinion on that particular signing. I know Boyd is really good slot receiver, 29 years old. He'll be 30 this year. And I thought he had a down year last year. And I looked at his stats here, and the guy actually had really good stats, believe it or not. Tyler Boyd, I want to say he had 67 catches, 667 yards, 2 touchdowns. This guy's a slot receiver. He was second on the team. That's right. He had more second on the team, only to Jamar Chase, who they just seem to throw the ball to every other time. Jamar Chase had 145 targets last year and played 16 games. I mean, they're just throwing it to him like nobody's business. And, I'm looking at this, and it doesn't seem like a big deal. They signed him 1-year contract, $4.5 million for a guy to catch that many balls here, and Tyler Boyd. And you look at Tennessee's team last year versus Tennessee's team this year. I mean, it's going to be, from an offensive standpoint, daylight and dark. Keynote, 67 catches, 600 and plus, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns here. That was Tyler Boyd. Now, the Titans last year, you got your top receiver had 75 catches, 137 targets, 1,000-yard receiver there in DeAndre Hopkins. The second leading receiver for Tennessee had 54 catches at 528 yards. That's the second receiver for Tennessee. The third receiver, 22 catches, 424 yards. That was Chris Moore. Then you get into the Tajay Spears, which is the leading running back. Trayvon Burks is down there. The former number 1 overall, our former first-round pick for Tennessee 2 years ago, with it's only 16 catches for 221 yards. Okay, now you say that I give you that. Their lead receiver, 75 catches, 1,000 yards, and the second lead receiver was their tight end. Now, look who they added. They added Calvin Ridley, 76 catches, 1,016 yards, 8 touchdowns, by the way. Want to add that in there. 76 catches for Ridley coming into this season. That's probably going to be your number 1 receiver. Calvin Ridley. Okay, keep this in mind here, folks. Calvin Ridley had 76 catches, 1,000 plus receiving yards last year. That'll be your number 1. Your number 2 has got 75 catches for 1,000 yards. And your number 3 had 66 catches here for 663 yards. All right. The number 3 would have 12 more catches and 100 more yards than Titans number 2 last year, which was Okonkwo, the tight end. All right. So you throw 2 1,000-yard receivers in there. You throw a 600-plus yard slot receiver, 66 catches, and this wasn't even a guy. This was not even nowhere near a New England type of offense. We just got done watching the roast here, right? The Tom Brady roast, where he threw a lot of, and people roasting about that. That's the kind of jokes he should have got. You threw all these touchdowns, and most of them were like 5 and 6 yards, And that was true. I mean, he would hit Edelman, he would hit Welker, throw the running backs, hit his tight end there for short passes, but he always completed them, even though teams knew that they were going to do it. So my point is, that is a well of a receiving core. All right. Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, Okonkwo at tight end, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, who looked great, who's probably going to be the number 1 running back, in my opinion, for this team. Not to mention Peter Sonorski at left guard, and, of course, J.C. Latham. He was by far the best run-blocking left tackle in this particular draft. I mean, they're going to be able to blow up the left side of the offensive line when Will Levis here is going to want to throw. They'll be able to blow that left side of that offensive line up there. Did I even mention Trayvon Burks, third-year receiver, former first-round overall pick, 6-foot-plus body, 200 pounds. If he don't come in the best shape of his life, he's just not a competitor. He should come in his absolute best shape and look like the guy in the college game there at Arkansas, or he may be out of a job next year. You know, he may very well be out of a job. I think he's going to be fine. I really do, but we're going to see. We shall see. You've got two locks there at 1,000-yard receivers. These guys, especially Ridley may get 1,200 yards, you know, and Hopkins being the number 2 there. Now, Hopkins may be battling for the number 1 spot, but we're going to find out real quick. That's going to be the most competitive receiver room out there. I'd kind of like to see them on Hard Knocks, but rumors are that it's going to be the Bears that's going to be on Hard Knocks next year. But I'm not one to exaggerate and just overhype this sort of thing. I'm telling you right now, with Will Levis, pending on his chemistry and communication with Brian Callahan, the son of Bill Callahan, which I think is going to be good, but we're going to find out. I mean, Will Levis, I've got dollar signs in my eyes if I'm Will Levis. I'm thinking big wins, big number 2 contract here coming up. I'm working day and night to learn this guy's offense. I'm trying to get as many reps with these players as I possibly can. But I'm saying all this, again, not one to get the pom-poms out. I'm not one to be hyperbolic about stuff. I'm just calling balls and strikes, okay? This, in my opinion, as of May, which, by the way, we got the new schedule coming out next week, okay? What's today, the 5th? I think it's 1 week from the day, Pickles. I think it's 1 week from the day. We're going to know who Tennessee plays and when. We know where they're playing. We just don't know when. It's a much bigger deal of when these teams are playing. I think the schedule release will be next week. I might get some in on it next Wednesday. I know I'll be able to tackle it next Thursday after that's been released. But this, I believe, this is the most talented wide receiver room, offense room, since the 2003 Tennessee Titans that had Steve McNair on it. Steve McNair ends up winning. Tennessee was scoring 28, 35 points a game that year. To start to see, I mean, they were just running roughshod on. Heimerdinger him and McNair were on the same page on just about every single play called that year. Titans end up getting put out by the Patriots that year, I want to say, in the playoffs in that very cold game. But they did go on the road and beat a good Baltimore team to get there. Anyways, listen to this room, Titan fans. We're talking 21 years ago. Derek Mason was on that team, leading receiver, Pro Bowl level player. Justin McCarron's had a breakout year there. Run any route in the route tree. Tall, long body there. You had Drew Bennett on that team. Turned out to be this is an undrafted guy. Just blew up and turned out to be he got a second contract. That's how good a player he was. Then you had a guy like Aaron Kinney. Aaron Kinney was on that team. I think Wycheck was a second-rate tight end. Aaron Kinney, catch anything, McNair, he was kind of like a Bubba Franks for you Green Bay Packer fans, for the Tennessee Titans on that team. That was the best Tennessee Titans receiving corps since they've been called the Titans, since 1999. That team did not make the Super Bowl, but that team, you get a sense they could score on anybody. McNair was just in the zone. that year. The defense wasn't quite as good. But about throw in an Eddie George there, running back too. You know, he was getting on the back end of his career at that point. But this Tennessee team was last year, folks. They were 27th in total yards. They were 20, and this is offensively. They were 25th in points scored. I'll go out on the limb right now on May the 8th. We've got a few months to go before the season starts. I get it, okay? I think they'll be in the top 10, judging by this core, judging by the offensive line upgrades, judging by the head coach, Bill Callahan, who's going to be working this offense. He's going to or Brian Callahan, who's going to put in the structure here, and his dad, Bill, one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. Huge upgrade with Castenberry at the center position here. This is going to be a wildly competitive, and I drive past that training facility every single day, and I would love to see the training camp, some of the indoor facility routes being run by this group. There's going to be a highly competitive practice, not to mention that L'Jarius Sneed, Pickles, is the cornerback. L'Jarius, former Kansas City Chief, who is just an excellent player, one of the best cornerbacks in the league, absolutely the best that was available this year through trade. And he was the best addition to the Titans from that side of the ball. He was the best cornerback that changed teams in the league, in my opinion. You know, L'Jarius Sneed was very good. Very good. So the battle between him and Calvin Ridley and or DeAndre Hopkins, that's going to be must-see TV. That's going to be must-see TV. Pickle says Levis will need a vet for competition. Mason Rudolph had a career year last year as a backup. That was the best. He only played 4 games. I think he was 3-1, and they let him walk. But they got Russell Wilson. But Pittsburgh, that's the best he's played last year. Mason Rudolph. He really surprised me last year. I'm surprised they let him walk, but they did. Rudolph may push him. Levis, we saw some of his ability last year. He was overconfident going through his checks and reads, did not move in the pocket. He's got to be a little bit more, have some better pocket awareness, got to work on his technique a little bit. He just needs tweak. Everything I see that's wrong with him, from mine, I'm not a quarterback coach by no means, but from the naked eye, just basic footwork, having a little bit more awareness. He does stay in the pocket. I do think that Levis will make those connections. Just hope he stays healthy. But listen, he's just going to be even if Vrabel came back this year, and he just this team is going to be tremendously upgraded. This is a tremendous upgrade. Not to mention the fact that they've got the new defensive tackle there. What is it? DeAndre Sweat or whatever his name is. Yeah, Trevondre Sweat from Texas playing alongside with Jeffrey Simmons. Listen, this team is a legitimate playoff sleeper, perhaps Super Bowl sleeper. You know, it's all going to come down to Levis and how much did him and Callahan, because they've already had some defensive pieces that the previous coaching staff and management added in there. They've already had those pieces with the addition to those secondary pieces, and they've got some really speedy guys at the linebacker position that they've added here. Of course, with Murray, at linebacker who was picked up from the LA Chargers in free agency. Not to mention the guy they got from Miami that could potentially start this year as well at the linebacker position. Okay. And by the way, at safety, Justin Simmons is still out there. They may actually bring in Justin Simmons. So this is going to be a very, very thirsty, competitive team. And this could, with these 2,000-yard receivers, this team could surpass that 2003, 21 year ago team under Steve McNair, where he won the MVP there because of how good they the free flowing and moving of the football that year. Okay, so hey, listen, it is what it is. I predict that they'll jump in the top 10. I think they'll jump in the top 10 unless Levis gets hurt. They just got a flood of injuries. And again, I'm not a hyperbolic. I'm not a fanboy. I just call balls and strikes. You know, yeah, he's got to have that pocket awareness where he's not overconfident in that pocket. Well, he will have more time, though. He will have more time. And life is easier when you've got to convert 3rd and 3 versus 3rd and 9. You got short option. The defenses are played better. Or the defenses have to be more honest if you're at 3rd and 3 versus a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. At 3rd and 3, you got the screen game there with the Pollard or Spears, which I think Spears is going to be the number one guy again. And you've got, it opens up O'Connell, Boyd, Burks. That's a lot. They may even move Burks to tight end. Now, they haven't said that. But if he's still big, maybe you try him at tight end. If he can block. But I'm sure with Bill Callahan there, I'm sure he's going to emphasize that to his son and say, hey, listen, they got to block. Everybody's got to block. You know? You're not going to win these games if the receivers and tight ends don't block. Everybody's got to block, except for the quarterback. He got to throw the ball. You got to get rid of it. You know? So it's I'm not blowing any steam up the Titans fans and trying to pump their head up. I'm just calling it like I see it, man. This is a very good room here. And Okonkwo, this guy may have a Pro Bowl year. They could have 4 or 5 Pro Bowlers on this offense before it's all said and done. But the competition would be priceless just to see. There's going to be a lot of Eagles. There's going to be a lot of talent on this team. It's the most I've seen in a long time. It's going to be fun stuff here. All righty then. Interesting story here. Okay. Interesting story here. Let me go ahead and read my screenshot here. This is going back last week. I read this in the airport, waiting on this airplane the other day. Pete Thamel, I want to say he bounces around as a reporter. He might have been with CBS or whatnot, or ESPN. I think it's ESPN now. This was last week. A key new detail in the settlement talks for the House versus the NCAA case, which can help form the new structure of college athletics. The cost of the settlement for past damages is expected to be more than $2.7 billion to be paid by the NCAA over the next decade. Okay. The leaders of the college sports are reporting a talks of legal settlement revenue. The House versus NCAA was set for trial in January of next year. But now they're talking about settlement. They were suing them for $4 billion. These are former players here that have sued the NCAA for revenue sharing for TV. This is TV revenue, okay? Those giant packages that ABC CBS, you name it, Fox, pay the NCAA for these games. All right. So there's and this is still developing. This is not all came out yet. But apparently, now mind you, this didn't go into effect. The NIL stuff through the Supreme Court, that happened in 2021. Okay, this lawsuit is from prior to 2021. All right, but I was reading this. This article says college football could embrace future revenue sharings. We could see college players getting a share of the sport's massive TV revenues, with conferences considering the idea. I tell you what, it's funny. I read Deion Sanders' timeline on the X app, and he made a statement the other day as if he didn't know. Such a supremely confident athlete and person, and now coach, Deion Sanders. He says, "Listen, I didn't know." He made this statement as if he did not know that only the top 1% of the 1% from the college football make it to the NFL. All right. And I can't get the exact quote, but that was what he was saying, as if people don't know that. And maybe some of the young players didn't realize that. I mean, you're talking 18, 19-year-olds should be able to explain the numbers. I mean, there's 120 Division I college football teams, not to mention Division II. And there's only 32 NFL teams, not to mention the players that are already on teams that were drafted before you, and teams are gotten second contracts. Okay. So do the math on that. All right. You really got to be good to make it to the NFL. And now, so this lawsuit here me personally, looking at those numbers, that's pretty good. I just love to see the little man get paid. Will that help with NIL stuff? I don't know how much that's going to be per player, how that's going to get divvied out. I do know that even though the players are going to I think it's going to go through. If you just read this, and if it's going to get settled, I think there'll be some type of revenue sharing there. So it's making college look more and more like the NFL. You've already got these red shirt, gray shirt players here. You've got guys that are 24, 25 years old leaving college here. And that was the time I left. I ain't mad at them. I mean, I started late too. I started at 21. So but it's between that system now and the possibility of making more money if you're on a high-end team as a quarterback, but your NFL stock is not that good. For example, there's been players on championship teams. Eric Crouch, for example, Pickles, won the Heisman with Nebraska. And I think he converted a receiver. I don't even think he was drafted, You get a lot of guys don't even get drafted. Danny Werfel was no good. And yet they just don't these guys won Heismans, they won national championship, and they get to the NFL. I know a guy on that Florida team with Tim Tebow, the quarterback, and I can't think of his name right now, but he didn't get drafted. They won a national championship. So it's with these new rules and the transfer portal, finding a way to redshirt and come back and play for another team or whatever, you might be able to make more money in college than you could in the NFL, which I think is pretty interesting if you ask me. So you've got that. Combine that with the story I read today. Combine that with the story I read today out of Pro Football Talk that the UFL, which is the USFL, and the XFL, who both restarted over the last 2 years, have combined their leads. Guys like Adrian Martinez, he was a quarterback for Nebraska. Sam Howell, former North Carolina quarterback, was playing with the Carolina Panthers, I want to say. And then, I'll take that back. Not Sam Howell. It's similar name to Sam Howell, but either ways, he was an Ole Miss quarterback. Excuse me. Ole Miss quarterback, played with Carolina Panthers. Now he's playing. I can't recall his name. He's playing in the UFL and balling out. But the ratings for this is doing really good. It's almost 1 million people watching. This is a startup league. This is the second year. This is the first year of these combining leagues. I guess what I'm saying is this will all make the NFL better because you'll keep players who are marginal. Look at all those players from that 2021 class that could use some more experience as far as getting starts as a quarterback. You know, look at these players. Zach Wilson needs to be in the UFL. All right. He needed some more snaps here, the BYU kid. Wouldn't it be nice if he got some more snaps? Jordan Love, what if he didn't sit for 3 years? He looked terrible. He's a bust. He looked like a total bust. You know? He looked like a total bust. But not everybody gets that opportunity to sit for 3 years. So between the transfer portal, the red shirt, and the college game, it lowers the rush to the NFL. It lowers that urge, especially if you're playing on a good team, you got some NIL. Arch Manning hadn't proved anything. He's making millions in the college game. You know, he's living off of a name, but he did have a good spring this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't beat out Quinn Ewers, but I think Quinn Ewers, the Texas players, Quinn Ewers is a big-time NIL guy too, a 5-star guy. Texas may win a national championship this year. You know, they may win a national championship, but technically, Arch hasn't played a real snap in college yet, you know, and I think he might have had mop-up duty, but he hasn't played. He hasn't started a game yet for Texas. He's only a sophomore, but you're having more opportunity to play in college. Then maybe if the NFL's smart, they'll embrace this UFF, maybe own it, where you could just send players down, use that as a minor league system. So if you can't make it with all the extras that's been added on money-wise to the college game, then if this United Football League don't work, you just can't make it. But I do think it'll make better quarterbacks if they do set up something with that, because now you're getting multiple opportunities for these players to grow, more options if this can stay about. Now, of course, we'll see how it plays out. I didn't expect none of this stuff to happen 15 years ago. I thought I would called you crazy if you told me that the players are going to get part of the TV revenue. You know, I mean, I think it's good. Again, less than 1%. Trey Lance. I mean, Trey Lance. Who's more raw than Trey Lance at this point? I mean, that dude is raw. Carson Wentz, it would be good for him to go back. I mean, he's on the NFL roster. You know, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Pickles, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson. They're all the 2021 class. So you never know what you're going to get. Then you got the 2020 class. I've mentioned this 1,000 times, but I'll throw it in there. Justin Herbert, second contract. Jalen Hurts, second contract. Joe Burrow, second contract. 5th-year option. Jordan Love. So that was the 1920 class. And then the 2021, which was, you think about the 2021 class, that class had a lot of guys who played against vanilla defenses because of COVID. There was less practicing, everything. A lot of these teams didn't think they were even going to play. A lot of them were told they weren't going to play. Then they were going to play. They had to shove everything together real quick. And the classes really took a hit. And I just thought about it this morning or this afternoon when reading the story and thinking about the COVID year. Look how good a season that Mac Jones had with Devontae Smith that year, who won the Heisman. Maybe because the defenses were so watered down, because the teaching wasn't there that it normally was, because of the COVID stuff really, really slowed everything down, you know? And a lot of that did not look legit. The defenses, because he had just this insanely good year. Mac Jones, Devontae Smith winning the Heisman there. That offense in general, they look unstoppable. And obviously that was Nick Saban's last national championship there. And now I think, well, Mac Jones, he's a backup for Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. You know? But it's good to see the players get paid like that. That's awesome, man. You know, I work at a contract job and not getting paid what I should get paid with this new signing of this contract. I kind of feel their pain. So anyways, I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully, and have plenty of stuff to talk to. A few stories I didn't get to today, but we're already at 55 minutes past the hour here. Wanted to get into this Kentucky Derby story, but I'll get into that tomorrow, folks. If you like the show, share the show. If you share this show I was telling my sister who Livia's shares the program on Facebook. If you do share it in any kind of sports group, make sure and get permission from the administrator before you do it. I don't want Facebook coming after me and take any chances of kicking me off for somebody else sharing my show in an illegal group, thinking that I put them up to it. You can't never trust anybody. Pickle says Nick Saban got out at the right time. Yeah, he's living a good life. He will be on College Game Day. I've already seen him on ESPN. Love Nick Saban. Love what he's got to say. Now he'll have Belichick. Maybe they'll be on together sometime or another. I know Belichick will be on the Manning cast. Belichick was on Game Day last year. So Game Day is really going to be interesting. Maybe they'll have them together and have those smart minds. I still got a lot of respect for those two coaches. Okay? I will see everybody tomorrow. Otherwise, same time, same place. Have a good night. Stay safe if you're in the Middle Tennessee area. Keep an eye out for these storms here on Sports.